We're delighted to have you with us as we explore key questions surrounding international education, featuring insights from our expert panel. Today's discussion will spotlight on the Lally School of Management at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, or in short, RPI, a global leader in business and technology education. So whether you're a prospective student, a counselor, or an advisor, or even a partner institution that is interested in an RPI, this session has been designed with you in mind. We'd like you to leave today inspired and excited about the exceptional opportunities the Lally School of Management has to offer. Throughout this session, we'll walk you through Lally's academic programs, admissions process, student life, and what makes Lally graduates stand out in today's competitive global market. So first things first, I know many of you are eager to know who's joining us on today's expert panel. We're proud to be joined by an exceptional group of colleagues who will walk you through the wide array of opportunities available at the Lally School of Management. Firstly, I'd like to welcome Brian Clark, who's the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs at RPI. Brian brings deep expertise in financial intermediation and risk management, and also leads key academic initiatives across the school. Brian, thank you for joining us today. Next, we have Jackie McPhillips-Balsarac, who is the Manager of Student Services at the Lally School of Management. Jackie is a student-centered leader with a passion for inclusive education and building strong and supportive communities. Jackie, thank you for attending today.
Morning, everybody.
Next up, we have Gaurav Jain, who's the Associate Professor of Marketing and Director of MS Programs. Gaurav is a tenured faculty member and researcher with recognized expertise in the marketing of financial products and data decision-making. Gaurav, welcome, and thank you for taking the time with us.
Hello, everyone.
And lastly, but not least, we have Johan Mahajan, who is the Associate Professor of Finance and Director of the MBA program. Johan has extensive experience in finance education and program design, with a strong focus on helping students succeed in fast-evolving business environments. Johan, welcome and thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure.
Perfect. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Denver Muirhead. I serve as the Director of Strategic Operations at Uni Global. I bring over 2 decades of leadership and operational experience in higher education, with a focus on strategic alignment and building smarter systems. Okay, now with that, we'll do a bit of housekeeping. Before we begin, just to let you know, we always love you to be part of the conversation. Your voice and your comments are really, really important. So you can submit any particular questions or queries in the Q&A box, and our speakers will do their very best to answer them, or we have team members on standby that are able to answer the questions on the chat directly to you. So if we aren't able to answer all of the questions today, we'll be forwarding them over to our teams to come back to you directly. So you have a fully comprehensive set of answers to any of the questions that come up in today's session. Now, before we dive into the details of the Lally School, let's begin with a brief introduction on Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, what makes it unique and why it's such a compelling destination for business and technology education. So here's what we've got just in terms of in stores for today's session. We'll begin with an introduction to the Lally School of Management. Then we'll take a look or closer look at the MBA and the MS programs, including structure, specializations, and curriculum highlights. After that, we'll take a look at the ideal candidate profile, admissions requirements, and also tuition details. Then we'll explore the student experience, including life on campus and in the city of Troy, New York. And finally, we'll look at career outcomes, employability, and industry connections. And as I previously said, we'll be doing a bit of a Q&A, so that way we can hear your voice and your questions about information that you'd like to hear more from. So with that, let's get started. So we'll begin today by setting the stage with a broader look at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, the institution that powers the Lally School of Management. So RPI isn't just the oldest technical research university in the US. It's a place where science, engineering, and business innovation come together to solve global challenges. And who better to take us through than someone who plays a key part in the key academic leadership role of the university. So I'm delighted to introduce Brian Clark, as I mentioned, Associate Dean for Academic Affairs at RPI. Brian, we're excited to hear your thoughts about today. Please, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Denver. Thank you for the nice introduction. Welcome everyone, and it's great to have everyone here in the audience, and we're really excited to share whatever we can and answer any questions that you have about the Lally School of Management. So I think that most folks that have been in a few of these webinars regarding RPI in different schools. So we'll go kind of quickly over the overall university overview. So RPI is about 200 years old. We're actually in our 201st year. We were founded in 1824, and we are the oldest technological research university in the Western Hemisphere. And so our roots have really been in engineering and science and technology innovation. But today we're going to talk about the business school, and business at RPI has been around for about 100 years in terms of a major, in terms of management science or an academic area. So we've been a named school, the Lally School of Management, for over 60 years now. And so business at RPI has really goes back to the institution's roots. It just wasn't always called the business school here for 200 years. And really, if you kind of look at RPI, if you want to sort of summarize from the big picture, we are a Carnegie Research 1 R1 university, meaning that we focus on the research aspect of the academic side, which is great for the grad students. Now, the business school plays a significant role in that, in terms of innovation, entrepreneurship, and educating our technical students. That's really what we are looking for, are students that come in with technical skills, and they have a drive and a passion for business, entrepreneurship, finance, marketing, all of these things. RPI, we spend over $100 million in annual research expenditures, which again is huge if you think about this for the size of the school on a per capita basis. These research expenditures are really almost unparalleled. We have notable alums, which we can talk about later on, but just a couple off the top of my head would be R.J. Scaringe, who is the founder of Rivian, the electric vehicle company. The incoming chief operating officer of Apple is also an RPI alum, and also one of the co-founders of NVIDIA, Curtis M. Priam, has been instrumental in helping the school, and he's obviously an alum, and he's been instrumental in helping us by providing us with a lot of the advanced computing hardware that we have today. So in terms of the research expenditures, a lot of that is on these centers, which you can see on the screen here, in AI, biotech, material science. We also have them in finance and ethics in the business school. But there's also the significant investment in infrastructure, such as, which are really important for the business school, would be the supercomputing power. I have students that work on that. We also are the only university with a IBM Quantum System 1 computer on campus, which the students can and do access. In terms of the overall university, we have 5 schools. Engineering is the largest school, and then we have science, architecture, humanities, arts, and social sciences, and then the Lally School of Management. And one thing I should mention is that we also, the Lally School, we just took in the information technology and web sciences program, which operated historically out of the School of Science. And so that has come into the Lally School of Management as well. And Gaurav going to talk a little bit more about those programs in a little bit. And finally, the last thing I would mention is that we are a global university, especially on the grad side. Roughly 50% of our master's students are international, and they comprise, university-wide, they represent over 60 countries from around the world. So the location, again, Troy, New York. It's a small city, about 2.5 hours from New York or Boston, about 4 hours to Montreal. You can get to New York and Montreal by train. You can do day trips to New York is no problem. But the other thing I would mention about RPI, which is not or Troy, which is not on this slide, is we're also about 2 hours from the Adirondack Mountains and the Catskill Mountains, which provide a lot of outdoor activities. So if you like to hike or ski, kayak, canoe, just be outside, it's a fantastic place to live. We have lakes and so on and so forth, and especially the fall semester, if the weather's absolutely gorgeous here. Okay. And so the primary reason that we're here today is to talk about the Lally School of Management. And so again, the Lally School, we've been around about 60 years and, have been an integral part of the campus. We've invested a lot in the past year and a half in terms of restructuring our MBA program, in terms of adding new majors to the MBA program. Again, we took in the information technology program. And then on the undergrad side, we've also introduced new majors this year. So we've invested a lot. We've also invested in the student services and staff as well, all with a focus of helping students and enhancing their experience at RPI and fostering their career growth. So in terms of programs that we offer, so Johan and Gaurav will go into details about these. So I'll just mention kind of the highlights. The MBA program, that is 36 credits. It can be done in 1 calendar year. So the typical course load is 15 credits a semester. So it'd be 15, 15, and then 6. You could take 2 classes over the summer. But for international students, many of them prefer to stay a 3rd semester, and that's still fine. So they could do fall, spring, fall, or even spring, fall, spring if they wanted to. And that gives you an opportunity to do an internship that summer between your 2nd and 3rd semesters. New this year are the actual focus tracks or concentrations within the MBA program. So these concentrations, the 5 that you see here, are management, design, life science entrepreneurship, marketing analytics, and AI and advanced computing. Those will now show up on your transcript. So it's akin to a major, right? So you have an MBA majoring in design or majoring in marketing analytics. I will also note all of our grad programs, we're happy to say, are STEM designated. So that's across the board at the grad school. We also offer on the MS, these are 1-year degrees, so designed to be 1 year. Now, international students, again, can stick around, delay a class and stick around for 3 semesters if they want, giving them time to do an internship or, extend their OPT in the US. The MS programs are in supply chain management, business analytics, quantitative finance and risk analytics, and information technology. And again, I'll leave it to the program directors to go into all the details about those programs. Okay. Now, one of the things that we've spent a lot of time on and effort and energy in the past year and a half is really investing in student life and student services in Lally. You'll hear from Jackie later on, who came on board last year and has done a fantastic job. She is the manager of our student services, but that is a unique role in Lally, in that about half of her job is to do professional and career development for our students. And she also works closely with alums and so on and so forth to really foster that sort of environment for our students, so they're prepared to go out and get jobs when they graduate. So we have some career focused organizations and clubs. So just a few to highlight here. One is the Rensselaer Finance Club. So this was a club started by students last year, and they are simply an amazing group. They bring in guest speakers, they host networking events, they host like career workshops, really dedicated to getting people placed on Wall Street. They are a fantastic group. They did a lot of this on their own, and now basically we support them. They also have an investment club, which I'll talk about in a couple of minutes here. We also, similarly, obviously the Finance Club is for students interested in going to Wall Street or in finance careers. We also have a Rensselaer Consulting Club. Again, same thing. They started by students. They take on projects, real projects with companies, real deliverables, and they do that. We're working on ways to figure out how to get students credit for this, but essentially, these are really applied, realistic clubs. And then the APICS, this is the operations and operations management club. And they are really looking at supply chain and operations management, and they are connected with professional organizations and so on and so forth. Again, really helps with the networking aspect of things. Leadership and honor societies. We have the Lally Management Student Association. Again, student focused. This is actually a really good club to be involved with for incoming students, because they do a lot of sort of just networking events. They do sort of ice-breaking events, just as as you're new to the school, new to the university, you meet people that have been here, they give you some guidance, and it's really more of like a student mentoring program, which is really helpful, especially for new students, especially those that have been in the US for the first time. We also have a couple of honor societies, which is the Epsilon Delta Sigma and Beta Gamma Sigma. So essentially these are management. The Beta Gamma Sigma is international society, but they're both management or business specific honor societies. And then we have a few other specific groups here. One is the Women in Business Club. Again, they support students in building professional confidence, soft skills, networking opportunities. They host, again, inclusive events and mentorship. So their events are open to all students, but they primarily bring in female speakers who are in leading roles in industry. So this is a great group to be involved with. And then the last thing I'll mention is the James Student Managed Fund. So this is this is through the Rensselaer Finance Club, but these students were so good last year that we actually gave them about $250,000 to manage. So they actively manage and trade the money. They have a faculty advisor, which is me right now, and they invest in equities, bonds, and some alternative assets. And the fund is structured like a real asset manager. They have a chief investment officer, they have a research team, they have a risk management team, which is great for our quantitative finance students. You apply for those positions, and it's student elected, and it's kind of overseen by faculty, but it's really student run, and it's as realistic as you can possibly get, and they have real money on the line. And I must say they've done actually really well through some turbulent markets in the past 9 months since they've been trading. Okay. And then finally, I think this is the last slide on the overview here, is that Jackie will go into a lot of the detail about this stuff, but I just wanted to highlight that Lally, we invest a lot in the students. And like I mentioned, in the overall university, on a per capita basis, the amount of money that we invest like per student in the business school is really almost unparalleled. We have data and software. We have 12 Bloomberg terminals being installed as we speak. Our building just underwent a significant renovation, and we'll be back in there next week, hopefully. And so we're having 12 Bloomberg terminals installed. We have FactSet, Capital IQ. We have licenses for OpenAI's ChatGPT, the enterprise or FERPA compliant enterprise version for our students. I mentioned the computing access. We have cloud computing and a quantum computer on campus, and students can access those. So I have 2 PhD students who have actually used the supercomputer to do work that wouldn't have otherwise been realistic to do on a laptop or even a local server. We have students that have worked on the quantum computers, and so these are accessible to students. And then finally, you'll hear from Jackie, but we have dedicated student services staff. The Career Development Center here is great university-wide, but they have the university to deal with. So we've invested in staff to actually host Lally-specific networking events, Lally-specific career development, and really, I'll let Jackie talk about that stuff. But, our goal is to really, build professional development into the curriculum so that, again, our students are ready when they leave here to go out and get jobs and be successful and, have fantastic careers.
Thank you, Brian, for that insightful introduction to RPI and also how it supports academic excellence across disciplines. Now, let's zoom in to one of the centerpieces of today's session, the MBA program at Lally. So this is a program designed for future business leaders, those ready to thrive at the intersection of technology, innovation, and strategic thinking. To guide us through the program structure, focus areas, and how it helps students gain a competitive edge, I'm thrilled to hand over to Johan Mahajan, the Director of MBA Program. Johan, please take us away and let us know what you think.
Thanks, Denver. Hello, everybody. And I believe after listening to Brian, all of you are already convinced to join us. A couple of points to that. Brian talked a lot about the databases we have, which is mainly used for research as well as in classroom environment for your case studies and projects. But if you are interested in research, regardless of whether you're an MBA student or a master's student, we have a program called MSRP or Master's Student Research Program, where you can actually do a research project with the faculty. So there's that. And some of you might have browsed our MBA curriculum a while back. Things have changed so much. So, in the past, you probably saw our program to be like 1.5 year or 2 year long. Now things have changed. So that's why Brian talked about you being able to complete it in a year. So long story short, MBA at Lally is a very fast-paced, if you wish to make it fast-paced, STEM designated program, and it tries to blend business fundamentals with things like technology, innovation, and real-world problem solving. So it's basically designed to prepare leaders like yourself, the future leaders or current leaders, for today's tech-driven economy. Now, let me emphasize what I mean by fast track, or what Brian meant by fast-paced. So if you wish, because it's a 36 credit program and each courses you take is basically 3 credit, and you can take more or less 15 or 16 credits per semester, you can finish the degree in 3 consecutive semesters. Could be fall, spring, summer, or it could be spring, summer, and fall. Now, it doesn't mean you have to finish it in a year. As Brian pointed out, you can spread it out to 3 years, or I've seen some students spread out for 2 years. So the way you can do it is take 4 courses, 2 semesters, do an internship over the summer, and oftentimes that internship would lead to extended internship called CPT, and then you can finish it off in the last semester. So there are multiple ways you can complete the degree, so there's a lot of flexibility. Out of that 12 required courses, 9 are core courses. So these basically cover core business principles or disciplines, like could be finance, accounting, marketing, operations, IT, strategy, leadership, for instance. But all will have a strong focus on technology, innovation, and analytics. And you'll also be doing hands-on projects and internships. You'll be doing it in one class for sure. Other classes have some versions of it. You can specialize in 5 areas, and those are, as you can see on the slide. The first one is the management. Think of it as the generic MBA you can get from most institutions. That is, you don't have to specialize in one particular area. The other 4 are more specialized, and those are design, LSC, or life science entrepreneurship, marketing analytics, and AI and advanced computing. So let me talk a bit about our basically flagship degree, which is the MBA in Management, which has been offered since we started offering MBA. Although now things are a bit different, that is the number of courses as well as the fact that it's now STEM designated. But we are world-renowned, or at least visible to the world in this department. For instance, the Princeton Review recently listed our MBA program among the nation's best on-campus MBA program. Now, this is an exclusive group consisting of only 213 schools, so we are privileged to be a part of it. It also recognized us as having most competitive students, thanks to people like you. The TFE Times recently listed our Lally program. There's a message on the screen. I don't know whether it's for me or someone else. Anyway, as I was saying, the TFE Times listed our full-time MBA program at 28th in the entire United States. Similarly, Universal listed our MBA program at 38. So, and we are ranked 6th among all business schools in the New York State. So we are visible not just locally, but across US and across the entire world. Now, most of you will be interested in what you can make after you graduate. What's the point of getting a degree if you don't know how much you'll make? Now, this is not a complete picture because we were not able to get data from a lot of our alumni who have been placed in good institutions. But based on the data we have, the average starting salary, the base salary that is, for our recent graduates tend to be around $103,000. Now, this is slightly above, if not at par with the national average. Now, in terms of program features, as I was saying, it's STEM designated, it's 36 credit, but more importantly, it's flexible and you can customize your own degree. So what that means is you'll take the 9 core courses, then you have 3 courses which you can choose on your own. Now, it could be 3 finance courses, it could be some combination of finance or any other programs we offer. And even if there is a course which is outside of Lally school, if it meets your requirement, you'll be able to take it. So there's a lot of flexibility. And what's more important is that regardless of which concentration you are choosing, be it management, be it something else, you will be applying what you learned through hands-on consulting projects. Now, in terms of what you can do with your degree, only sky's the limit, right? You can be whatever you aspire to be. But at least in the past, or more recent past, our graduates have entered the real world as general manager of a company, as business consultant, as operations director, corporate strategy manager, and even started their own companies. So these are only a handful of what you can actually do with the degree. Now, let me talk about the new initiatives. Now, the incoming students are our first cohort because this particular concentration, along with marketing and AI, are freshly launched programs. So the design concentration is, what we want from it is it will combine creativity with business know-hows. So students like you will learn how to approach problems like a designer, as the name suggests. What I mean by that is you'll be thinking about user needs, you'll be experimenting with ideas, and you'll be creating solutions that are both practical and innovative. So think of it as a blended traditional business skills, right? So it will try to blend those traditional skills that are required in the business, like strategy, finance, marketing, management, you name it, with design thinking and human-centered approaches to create better products, services, and experiences which are required in the real world. It will be a hands-on experience, right? You'll be working with real projects with companies. And the whole point of this is so that when you graduate, our graduates leave with skills that are ready to design better products, services, and experiences that make a good, real impact in the world. Now, this is also STEM designated. Now, I may sound like a broken record, but all of our programs are STEM designated. But more importantly, apart from the 9 core courses, the 3 courses you can choose from a list of electives we offer, and some of them are modeling and optimization, for instance, engineering project management, discrete event simulation, design of experiments, to name a few. So some of the courses will be offered by Lally, some will be offered by other schools in our RPI umbrella, right? One thing I would like to point out is this degree, you will have an opportunity to collaborate with other institutions in our school. And that's true with other consideration as well, but more so with this because you'll be taking courses that are offered by engineering or entrepreneurship programs. Right? Now, again, same as before, what you can do with your degree is solely up to you. You can reach the sky if you want to, but what we expect is at least it will open doors to a few career paths. That includes product manager, user experience strategist, or innovation consultant, business designer, and creative director, to name a few. The next consideration we offer is the life science and entrepreneurship. Now, this is not old, but not new either. We have been offering this for the past 3 years or so, but now with a small tweak. But more importantly, this particular concentration tries to blend business strategy with scientific innovation. Now, this particular concentration is tailored to those of you who want to launch or grow biotech or healthcare ventures. Okay? It will equip you with the tools to turn, say, scientific ideas into real-world products. In fact, some of our students will work on projects with people who are in the industry, like companies, like people in companies like Regeneron and whatnot, to work on these kind of problems. Now, we have both internal and external partners in this program and in all of our concentrations in general, including MS. One of them being Mount Sinai School in New York City. So you'll be taking at least one course which is offered by them. Okay. The curriculum, at least the LSE curriculum, will cover areas like biomed data science, venture financing, regulatory navigation, and commercialization of strategies. Right? In fact, some of the courses you can take if you decide to specialize in LSE includes bioethics, biomed data science, commercialization of biomedical innovation, protecting and commercializing innovation. So these are some of the courses you can take as an elective with this degree. Again, you will get hands-on experience. You'll be working with industry partners or our industry partners. So you'll be taking courses which are offered by institutions like Mount Sinai. And all in all, the whole goal is that it will ready you or it will prepare you for roles such as biotech startup founders, for instance, venture capitalist, capital analyst, or business developers in life science, to name a few. Okay. The next concentration, again, which this is a new initiative, is the marketing analytics. The whole point here is that we expect this concentration to blend classical marketing know-hows like branding, customer targeting, and digital strategy with powerful data analytics, AI tools, and performance metrics to help drive smarter marketing decisions. Right? What we expect is that if you enroll in this program, you will learn to interpret, consumer behavior, optimize campaigns, for instance, and tell brand stories. That's the whole point of marketing, right? To tell brand stories backed by data, though. And we expect you to be able to do it through hands-on experience with real-world data set and digital marketing tools. Now, that's where all the databases that Brian pointed out will come handy. This is also STEM designated, right? And it will equip our graduates and people like you, who the current students, for modern roles in the world, such as marketing data analyst, digital marketing strategist, or brand manager, to name a few, all of which will require both creativity and analytical insights as a requirement. Now, some of the courses you can take under this would be marketing analytics or internet marketing, right? These hot topics in today's market. One thing I would like to point out, which is also in this slide under program features, is that this particular concentration is ideal for students looking to bridge creativity with analytics in today's digital economy. Okay. Finally, the last concentration we offer as of now, we may offer more in the future, but at least as of now, the last concentration you might be interested in is the AI and advanced computing. The whole idea here is we expect this particular MBA program to teach our students how to use AI, machine learning, and emerging technologies like cloud computing or quantum computing to solve complex business problems, right? It will try to blend technical skills with strategic thinking so that it will prepare you to lead innovation in data-driven and tech-intensive environments. Now, that's typically true in the real world. Courses you can take under this program as an elective includes courses like Intro to Machine Learning, Advanced AI and ML for Finance Applications, or Intro to Logic-Based AI, Big Data Policy, for instance, right? So even in this program, and as is typical with other programs, you can collaborate or you can take courses which are offered throughout the campus, or even in some cases by our external partners. Two things I would like to point out, even that's in this slide, are that this course is designed for students who aim to lead enterprise-wide digital transformation. Okay? And this course is ideal for those of you who have interest in tech, analytics, innovation strategy, and system management, as well as the business world. Right? So if you want to be the leaders of tomorrow, CEOs of tomorrow, you have to have these skills, and this is ideal for you. The slide lists some of the career path you can choose, but like I said, if you want to be the leader of the world, you need these skills. If you have any other questions, I will be happy to fill those in the Q&A section. For now, I'll hand the baton to Denver.
Perfect. Thank you, Johan. That was a fantastic walkthrough of the overall MBA program. So now let's take a look of some of the specialized Masters in Science programs offered by Lally. So these programs provide focused expertise for students interested in analytics, finance, and also supply chain. These programs are incredibly relevant in today's data-driven world, and they're designed to deliver real career impact. So for this, we're very lucky to have with us Gaurav Jain, who, as I mentioned, is the Director of MS Programs and Associate Professor of Marketing, who's going to take us through the overall MS offerings and also further options. So Gaurav, over to you whenever you're ready.
Yep, thank you. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. So the MS programs that we offer, like, Denver mentioned, are more focused than the MBA programs, and we have 4 specializations in the MS programs. The first one is the supply chain management, extremely relevant in today's world. I'll talk about each of these programs in details. Second is business analytics. Then we have quantitative finance and risk analytics, and then we have information technology. And they're all STEM designated. Let's move on with the supply chain management to begin with. Can we move to the next slide, please? Yeah, thank you. So the program actually is meant for people who have some interest. You don't need to have a background in supply chain management, but you need to have some interest in supply chain management. Yeah. And in this program, we tackle, and the program actually makes students tackle the old world problems, the shipping industry, the issues with the shipping industry, and the new world problem, the issues with smart supply chain. Yep. And the focus is very much on data-driven decision-making, managing logistics, sustainability, and operations with the tools, with the cutting-edge tools and the real-world applications. It is, again, like I mentioned, a STEM designated program. It's a 30 credit program. It can be completed in 1 year. Yeah. And it is ideal for students with some background in engineering, but it is not a necessity. We see a lot of students who are applying for this program have some background in engineering. Like I mentioned, it covers the global supply chain strategy, logistics optimization, and sustainability. The kind of careers that it prepares the students for are being a logistics manager, a supply chain analyst, an operations analyst, and supply chain strategy consultant. Now, supply chain strategy consultant are not only specific to supply chain companies. One of the questions I usually get about supply chain, major is that what are the different companies that I can go to? There are various companies which are not supply chain companies that hire supply chain strategists. For example, the consulting firms like McKinsey, Bain, BCG, even the big tech, they all need supply chain strategists in the firm. So that is the supply chain management. Let's move on to the next program, that is business analytics. This is one of our very popular program. It blends data science, business strategy, and technology. And it has a focus on predictive modeling, machine learning, data visualization. That is how the data tells a story. And students gain the skills to drive decision-making in any industry. Again, this has many legs when it comes to the industries. It is ranked 2 times in a year in the US by TFE Times, and the average salary, like Johan mentioned, this is a ballpark number. It is we don't have all the data, but from the data that we have, it is closing down to 6 digits. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Yeah. Again, a 30 credit program can be completed in 1 year itself. The emphasis is on R, Python, SQL, and Tableau. These are extremely good, tools to have in your arsenal when you are entering the job market. In fact, the CEOs of big firms, I can name JPMC, have gone on record to say that they actually prefer students to know Python when they join the company. Yeah, and we make our students ready for the big companies and the industries. It includes the capstone projects with industry partners as well. And the kind of career outcomes are again in data analysis, analytics consultant, business intelligence analyst, and you can actually go to any industry. Like I mentioned in the beginning, you can go to any industry with these skill sets, whether you want to be a marketing analyst, financial analyst, or even an organization management analyst. So with that, let's move on to the third program, that is Quantitative Finance and Risk Analytics. This is the program which is meant for people with some background in finance or a lot of interest in finance. The program actually prepares students to navigate the intersection of finance, data science, and risk management. And it trains the students to analyze the financial markets, manage risk, and develop data-informed investment strategies. It is again a ranked program. It is among the top 10 programs in the US. And again, it can be completed in 1 year. Can we move on? Yeah, thank you. So again, like I mentioned, it's a 30 credit program, like the other two programs, combines financial theory with analytics, econometrics, and programming, hands-on training with Python and financial modeling tools. It is generally what we have seen is this program is preferred by students who have a strong quant background. This is a program that requires slightly more quantitative background. And like I said, a strong interest or a background in finance. The kind of career outcomes are on the risk and finance side. You can be if you have this program, then 20 years from now, you can think of being a chief risk officer at a big financial firm. So risk is definitely an sub-industry that you can target. Quantitative analyst is one of the initial roles that you can look at. Investment analyst, financial engineer, or entering an asset management firm. One thing more, there are, in the last couple of years, I have seen that there is a demand for people who are experts in quantitative finance in non-financial firms as well. Even big tech firms like Google, like Meta, Yahoo, they are hiring people who are experts in quantitative finance. So this program will make you an expert in quantitative finance, but you may look at industries outside finance as well when you're going into the job market. The fourth program we have is Information Technology. It is ranked 1 in the US by College Choice last year. It is again a STEM designated program, 100% job placement rate. And it is, like the name suggests, it is blending technology expertise with leadership skills. Yep, again, this can be finished in 1 year. It is a 30 credit program, combines technology leadership with IT. And the core areas that you can look at are data analytics, database systems, software design and engineering, and human-computer interaction. There are multiple tracks. This can be highly customized. These are the multiple tracks, includes data science, cybersecurity, which is a big buzzword today and very, very important today. Again, financial engineering and web science. It is ideal for students who have some background in IT. We get lots and lots of students with at least some background in IT. So this is an ideal program for the people who don't want to switch careers. They want to get a master's and they want to actually stay in the IT field. This is a very good program. And it can make you ready for many lucrative careers. For example, UX UI is big these days. Yeah, so this program will make you ready for that. Being a cloud architect, super big. And the biggest biggest subfield that is there is cybersecurity. So this program will make you ready for cybersecurity roles as well. Can we move on to the next one? So with that, I will, give it back to Denver.
Perfect. Gaurav, thank you very much for that presentation. That was fantastic. And it was a clear and compelling look at how the MS programs prepare students for real world success. Thank you, Gaurav. So, of course, choosing a program isn't just about, courses and curriculum. It's also about entry requirements. How can I become admitted? How I'll be supported? And also, what type of community am I going to be part of? So, to give us an inside perspective on the overall admissions, tuition, and also, most importantly, student life is really like at RPI. I'm pleased to introduce Jackie McPhillips-Bacelerac, who is, as I mentioned, the Manager of Student Services at Lally. Jackie brings a real passion for student success, and I know that you're going to appreciate what she has to say. So without further ado, Jackie, whenever you're ready.
Great. Thank you, Denver. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through the admissions process and then a little bit about the cost, and then we'll get into what life is like in Troy, New York, upstate. So the admissions requirements, these are all on our website if you need to find these later. The application form is done through a platform called Slate. It's, you create a login, very simple. There is an application fee of $75. The 3.0 GPA is generally pretty hard and fast. We don't often see students coming in with anything lower than that. We want to see students' resumes so that we have a sense of what internships the student has done. Most of our students don't work between undergrad and our grad programs. That's not to say that it's a bad thing if they have, but we just like to have a sense of where students have been and where they plan to go. The personal statement, I'm jumping ahead because it relates to the resume. We just kind of want to know what experiences you've had previously and what you plan to do once you complete your graduate study with us. The personal statement really should just be a showcase of the student and exactly who they are. The letters of recommendation, we need to see at least 2. Generally, I would recommend making sure that one of these are from a previous faculty member at wherever you completed your bachelor's degree. And then English proficiency. I know there were some questions about this in the Q&A. So those scores are here on the right side of the screen. You can see for each of the different English proficiency exams what those minimum scores are. If English is not your native language, we will require one of these exams. We do not require GRE or GMAT. We don't even really have a mechanism for evaluating those scores in our evaluation process for applicants. So you are free from one more exam. We can move ahead to the cost. So we know that graduate study is very much a financial decision. So these are really important numbers that we will always update on our website. So if things shift, you can check the RPI website for what that might look like. There are indirect and direct expenses. The direct expenses are tuition and fees. You will always need to plan for those 2 costs, and that'll all come up when you're paying with whatever mechanism you're using, if you're using any kind of loans or anything like that. Food and housing, books and supplies, personal expenses, transportation are all considered indirect expenses. So those are estimates calculated with our Office of Financial Aid for what it generally costs students to attend a graduate program at an RPI. Sometimes your loans may cover those things. Sometimes you don't need loans to cover those things. Everyone's situation might be a little bit different. All RPI students are required to take health insurance. If you need to waive your health insurance, there is a process for that, but generally that number at the bottom of that expense chart is what you can plan on for health insurance costs at RPI. Okay, so the money part is behind us and we can move on to the more fun part of what it's like to live upstate New York and attend RPI. Upstate New York is a beautiful part of the country. Downtown Troy specifically is very well known for our farmers market. Every Saturday, there's a gigantic farmers market. During the winter, it moves indoors. You may have heard that winters here can be pretty cold and harsh, but there's still a lot of activity. throughout the year. There's beautiful stores. It's a very historic downtown region. There's often shows and movies that are filmed there because of the historic architecture. So if you've seen The Gilded Age on HBO, for example, that's filmed right here in Troy. A lot of small businesses in our town, so you get a lot more charm than you might find in other suburban areas of upstate New York. We can move on. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Brian hit on this a little bit earlier, that we are very close to a lot of different outdoor activities. There's hiking trails all over the place. There's some that are, very small, flat ones right in parks, and then there's bigger ones that are go up some of our mountains. So you can really find different types of trails that are adaptable to whatever your interests are. There's bike trails throughout the capital region. And then Freer Park is very close to campus. You theoretically could walk there. It'd be a little bit of a hike, but it's a beautiful park with a lot of different activities within it. Within the capital region, there's tons of different, this is just 3 places that you can see different, art, music, and experiences. There's quite a few other places, including the Egg in Albany, and then the Palace Theater right in Albany also hosts comedians and bands and different speakers throughout the year. Again, more of the outdoor activities you might be excited to try here. We have a really popular ski club. Brian and I just yesterday met with one of our alumni who have recently re-engaged with the ski club. So that's a huge activity here. One of my students last summer worked on ski patrol. She built her class schedule so that she could spend 2 days on campus and then 2 days at ski patrol. So winter sports are a very big activity in the Northeast, and especially in upstate New York. In the warmer months, I mentioned hiking a little bit earlier, and then there's many lakes and rivers, and we're right on the Hudson River, which is not really well known for its water sports, but there are river cruises you could do there. And then there's other rivers that you could do rafting, for example. The capital region extends far beyond just Albany and Troy. It's a huge, huge area of upstate New York. Of course, Albany is the capital of the state of New York, so you can see the Capitol buildings. It's a beautiful plaza that you can walk around to see some different sculptures and some historic sites. The Baseball Hall of Fame is pretty close by. It's about, I want to say it's about an hour and 20-minute drive. I recently went out there with my own family, and we explored Howe Caverns, which is this historic cave, which is a lot of fun. It's just very charming areas out here. And then Saratoga is just 40 minutes north from Troy. So you can go, there's a horse track. It's very well known. And it's also a very beautiful town to visit. Right here in Troy, we have a huge food and drink scene. There's great restaurants. Basically any kind of food you can think of, we probably have in Troy. A lot of small businesses that are owned by people who have moved to the region. So a lot of authentic food options. There's a lot of local breweries in the area, and that extends beyond Troy as well. Troy is a very engaged community, and you can see here, this is just an example of a few events that take place during the year. Each winter, there's the Victorian Stroll, where people wear historic kind of costumes and they visit all the businesses and kind of just walk around and socialize. It's very charming. Troy Night Out is when the small businesses are open later. There's usually music, there's usually different food options with different promotions going on. So there's a huge sense of community here. It's a really nice part of town. And then Brian referenced this a little bit earlier. We're very close to most major cities in the Northeast. You can easily get to New York City and Boston and do a day trip. The Amtrak can take you down and back up in the same day. I've done it before for visiting Goldman Sachs with our student groups. We were able to go down very early in the morning and head back up, and we were home before my kids had to do bedtime. So it was a very efficient way to visit the city. All students at RPI get to ride CDTA for free, which is the Albany and Troy public transportation buses. RPI is really proud of our Division I hockey team. We have other sports as well. They're Division III. Our hockey team just brought in a new head coach, so it should be a very exciting season. A lot of changes going on for the team, and hockey is just a huge part of the culture here at RPI. So I would encourage you to visit and, you know, see a game while you're a student here. We have many clubs and organizations. Many of them are run through the student union, and then some of the others are run through Lally itself. And myself and my team support those clubs. Most of the clubs at RPI are interdisciplinary. So you'll be in clubs with undergrad students, grad students, PhD students. You might be in clubs with students in computer science or engineering. So that's, I think, a really huge benefit because you're getting different perspectives in whatever problems you're solving and the people you're meeting. So it's great to have those connections with those students who are going to enter the world when you do too, into different fields, as building your professional network, but also gaining different ways to think about things. And then for global student support, there is an entire team here that supports you, separate from even us at Lally. We have the, I actually just looked up ISSS because I never remember what that abbreviation is for, International Services for Students and Scholars. That's our office for students that are coming from abroad. And they will support you through the F1 process and the work authorization process. So they manage all of those very technical and sometimes challenging processes with immigration. For housing, grad students typically don't live on campus, but we have an office that specifically helps people seek off-campus housing called the Off-Campus Commons. It's led by Graham Knowles, who is a really wonderful person. He's very committed to students and very committed to helping people find what they need to do here to be successful. He actually started a food pantry recently. He's just a great example of a person at RPI who's flexible and cares and figures out what student needs. And then, you know, you'll have the opportunity to meet students from the US, of course, as many of our students are from the US, but then you'll have other peers in your classes that are also international students. So I mentioned the ISSS office, International Support for Students and Scholars. That will be a very important office for any international student. They manage all of the processes as it relates to immigration. International Student Orientation is hosted by that office, and they bring students together so that you can meet other international students who may be dealing with some of similar challenges that you will as an international student. They have 24-hour emergency assistance. And then separate from ISSS, we also have academic advising and mentoring. So within my team, there's a dedicated person just for grad students, a dedicated person just for PhD students, and then 2 folks who manage our undergrad population. I support that team, so I'm always available for any of the student groups that I just mentioned. I can help students with anything they need. It's a very personalized experience. We're small enough that we really get to know each student, and we kind of can put things together in a very personal way. We have a writing center. We have very robust tutoring at RPI, and the team that handles tutoring at RPI is always looking at ways to innovate. So I was just in a meeting where they were looking at implementing maybe some 24/7 tutoring support, and they're still evaluating that as a program. But it's a nice thing to always see innovation in that space. We have a robust health and wellness office here. So we have mental health counseling. We also just entered a partnership with Mantra Health. So that will allow greater access to students to speak to counselors if that's something that's needed or a consideration for anyone. And then, you know, a lot of the community integration stuff I mentioned previously about Troy will be there. And I would encourage students to take advantage of the community in addition to RPI. Troy is a really wonderful city, and I think it's really changed a lot for the better in the last 10-ish years. So it's a great time to be in Troy.
Wonderful.
And I think
Thank you,
send it back to you,
Jackie.
Denver. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Jackie. Such great information there. Just a really wonderful glimpse into the vibrant, supportive world of a student experience at RPI. So thank you for that. Now, as we head into the final part of today's presentation, I want to talk a little bit more about outcomes. So, some of the common questions that we get: what happens after graduations, where do Lally students go, and also, I suppose, generally, how does RPI help them get there? So, to take us through career development, employer engagement, and also alumni success stories, I'm excited to welcome back Brian. Brian, keen to hear a little bit more about big picture activities and essentially what happens next.
All right, great. So thanks. All right. So in terms of student outcomes, kind of to give an overview, roughly a third of our Lally graduates go into the finance industry. About a third go into consulting in some form, and about a third do other things, including, whether it's operations, marketing, they go back to engineering or computer science, whatever their undergrad degree was, or they start their own company or work for a startup. So that's kind of the broad overview. You can see some of the key employers here. And the recent students that we've had in all of our master's programs have landed at these places. Other banks, including Wells Fargo, you have the other, McKinsey Consulting, and there's other firms as well here. But that's kind of the overview of the main industries. Our students place well, especially the ones that have multidisciplinary degrees. So business and something else is a huge asset. And that's really what employers are coming to RPI for, because our students are different. They tend to be more technical and they tend to be more technologically focused. And so in these industries, the employers are coming here looking specifically for those skills, which our students really have, and they do extremely well. So we have alums. You can see a few alums here. So Dan Buckley is the president of Marvel Entertainment. Michelle is the chief sales officer from Staples. Sandra Plawinski is the president from Citron Consulting. Matthew Zapkin, so a cost engineer from NASA. So you can see a wide range of skills and industries here. And Peter Chan, who's the SVP at Goldman Sachs. To name a few more that are not on the list, we have, again, Sabi Khan, who's the incoming chief operating officer of Apple, which is, a huge job right now. RJ Scaringe, I mentioned, the founder of NVIDIA. Jackson Tai, who is on our board of trustees and actually just funded a chaired faculty position in the business school. He was a former CEO of the Development Bank of Singapore. He spent about 25 years as the global head at JP Morgan Chase. Edgar Ancona, who was a former CFO of HSBC, is on our leadership council. And so we have, the list can go on and on of the folks that we have that are in industry. That have gone through Lally and are now in the industry. In terms of career development, I think Jackie touched on a lot of this. Obviously we have the CCPD, which is the Career Development Center on campus. We also have Lally specific career development staff and events. We hosted every semester, we host a Lally specific career networking event. We have internship and co-op programs. Again, Jackie works with companies, alums that are looking for our students. Again, the on-campus recruiting and career fairs. There is the overall campus stuff. Sometimes that you get lost in the shuffle there, which is why we've started to do more and more Lally specific networking events, so that way the companies and the recruiters that are coming are looking specifically for students with the degrees that we have. As an example, we hosted some recruiters from Wells Fargo for a business analytics training program, which is a fantastic, it's a rotational program. And they actually hired three students last year, all from different programs. So MBA, Masters in Quantitative Finance, and Masters in Business Analytics. So they're looking for all of our students, and we're bringing them to campus because this is really what they're looking for. And then grad school, if you want to go to grad school, you can work with faculty. We also have resources on campus to help get students into grad school. We have many students that are actually going on from the master's programs to PhD programs, and they've done very well. And then again, within the professional development programs, we cover a lot of the softer skills and the resume writing and all of those types of things that you need to be adept with when you're looking for a job.
Perfect. Brian, thank you very much. Really, really appreciate that. And a very big thank you to all of our speakers for such valuable insights on this presentation. Okay, so now it's time to hear from you, our lovely audience. So if you haven't already, please feel free to submit your questions using the Q&A box below. I know some of them have been answered, so thank you for that. We're now going to go into a bit of a Q&A session. We know that some of you have sent in some questions prior to the session, some during. So again, if there is anything that you want or require more clarification on, please put it in the box now and we'll go through some of them. To start off with, as a first question, maybe Johan and Gaurav, I'll pose this to you, is in terms of sort of the profiles that are considered. So Jackie went through, you know, a little bit more of the entry requirement, some more of the black and white. But in terms of the grey elements of types of profiles that you feel are going to succeed, what do you believe they are for your relevant programs? And then as a follow-on question, what are the types of questions that prospective applicants should be asking themselves before they commit themselves to applying and going forward with the respective programs? So Gaurav, maybe if I start with you and Johan, you come in after.
Absolutely. Sure. So, you know, as a process, I mean, the programs are very competitive and we have a graduate programs committee, which means all the applications are reviewed by at least 2 faculty members. Yep, they're at least reviewed by 2 faculty members. In many cases, they're reviewed by 3 faculty members. Yeah. Apart from all the requirements that Jackie has already mentioned, I would say that students should focus on their letters, the statement of purpose. They should give it a thought. I know that there are many tools that students can use, like they can use ChatGPT and all those tools to write those letters, but they can only assist you in putting them in the right kind of words. The thoughts and ideas have to be the student's own. The more genuine your SOP will be, the more unique it will be. And we read all the letters. We read the letters of recommendations. We not only look at your CGPA, we go through the transcripts, all the courses as well, for each of the applicant. So statement of purpose is something I would say that students should really focus, because that is in their hand right now. They cannot improve their GPA now while applying. They cannot control what will be written in the letters of recommendation, but they can control this aspect of their application. So that would be my take on that.
Perfect, thank you. Johan, if there's anything that you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, so, first and foremost, most of our programs are all analytical and will require, some background in quantitative as well as programming. So if you have that, then that's definitely a plus. With MBA, especially if you're vying for the management track, then it's okay if your quantitative skills are not that great. I mean, you need to have some, but it's okay if you are rookie when it comes to programming, or if you have only taken like basic calculus and whatnot. And it's okay if your GPA is borderline 3, right? I mean, it doesn't mean that, although we would like to see your GPA to be higher than 3, but mainly for the system, obviously, as a first screening. But if your GPA is borderline 3, what we mainly look for, and that's true for people with more than 3 as GPA as well, is your motivation. Because there's nothing worse than you coming here and spend your capital, your parents or your own capital, and your time, more importantly, if you're not motivated, right? It'll be waste of that resources, and it'll be waste of our resources as well, because we will be investing a lot of our time into it as well to make you a better leader in the world. So for me, at least, one of the key thing I look for in an application is the motivation aspect. And that usually goes to a statement of purpose, right? So you need to have some of the requirements, as Jackie pointed out, but more importantly, and equally importantly, is how motivated are you in achieving the degree? So please apply if you have that in you. I'm pretty sure you do, otherwise you won't be attending this webinar. To me, is one of the most important aspect of an application.
Perfect. Thank you, Johan, and thank you, Gaurav, for answering that question. A second question that's come in is in regards to challenges faced. So naturally, this session is about inspiring and getting everyone excited about the program, but we also want to be realistic about, studying the intensity. Jackie and Brian, maybe I'll start with you. What type of challenges have you seen with students that have come in, whether it's from the support side or even from the academic side as they progress through the program? And I suppose, do you have any advice that you would give based on your experiences with either current students or students that have come in the past?
Yeah, I think overall, if you're just communicative, that's the best thing to do. We are a small enough school that we can be very tailored and personal. We're a small team. We all work with each other every single day. We can't escape each other if we want to. Not that we would. But just let us know what you need. Ask questions. There are no stupid questions. We are here to support you. If there's something that you're not sure, if there's a class that you think you might want to take as an elective for your MBA, just let us know what that class is and why you want to take it. Professor Maharjan evaluates those kinds of questions, for example, and then says yes or no. And it's very much, I know his approach is to look at what the student's long-term goals are and try to help the student align that program of study with those goals.
Thank you, Jackie. Brian, is there anything you wanted to contribute there as well?
Yeah, I think what Jackie, gave some good advice there. I would say the other thing I think in general is that, students are going to really benefit if they can get out and network and kind of, interact with as many different people with different perspectives as possible while they're here. So what we really encourage students to do is when they come, whether they're international students or even the domestic students, is to really participate in whether it's clubs or events, to really get out there, kind of get out of your comfort zone a little bit. Because once you go on the job market, that's going to benefit you tremendously. Employers are really, really looking for individuals that can work across disciplines and communicate across disciplines, right? Everyone here knows the skills, everyone knows their technical skills when they leave here, but those that can communicate that better are actually at a significant advantage when it comes to employment and, rising up and becoming into leadership roles once they get into the industry.
Perfect. Thank you, Brian. Really appreciate that. And just one last question from our overall Q&A session, because I know that we're eating into time a little bit, is how is RPI and its programs different? So to give a bit of context, it's very likely we will get applicants, above that 3.0 GPA element, who may be looking at other institutions, contrast and compare. From your particular experience, what makes the Lally School different? And I suppose, what are its key attributes that prospective students must know about, which makes these particular programs and the support services cutting edge? So I'll ask all of you that question. So maybe, Johan, I'll start with you. Jackie, I'll go to you, and then Brian, and then I'll end with you, Gaurav.
All right. So since I'm the first one to speak, if you would talk to our dean, the first thing he'll say is ROI, right? The word he likes to use is ROI, and for the right reason, right? So we are a small school. At least at Lally, our student to faculty ratio probably is less than 20 to 1. So we are, investing a lot of capital in our students, right? We are giving a lot of attention, a lot of, resources. From that perspective, the resources we invest per student is more than $1 million. Therefore, it's very unlikely that even if you go to like big, schools like Harvard, you won't be getting that much of ROI for your investment. And that is unbeatable. And that's something I expect all of our prospective students to keep in mind.
Perfect. Johan, appreciate that. Thank you. Jackie?
Yeah, I think something really special about RPI and Lally specifically is our alumni network. I've worked on several campuses at this point in my career. I've been in higher education my entire career, so I've been on the student services side of the house for a very long time, and I've never had the opportunity to work with alumni the way I have here. I answered this as one of the questions in the Q&A before, but we are kicking off a mentorship program with our alumni this fall. They have graciously volunteered their time to meet with students, and we are having them fill out a survey so we know exactly what their experiences are and the kinds of questions they can answer. And then we're asking students that are interested in having a mentor to fill out a similar survey so that we can understand what they want to gain from these relationships. The whole point of this, in addition to having somebody to coach you through a lot of the questions you might have as a student or a new professional, is to help students start building their network. I think for a lot of students, maybe you have family connections that are helpful, but maybe you don't. And the plan here is to make sure that if you're a student that doesn't have, a mom who's worked in finance or an uncle who's worked in marketing for 35 years or something, that we can start to get you that network. And that's something that you can start to do day one at RPI.
Jackie, thank you. Brian?
Yeah, thanks. So I mean, both Johan, mentioned the ROI. Jackie talked about the alumni network. So those are, two big ones. But the other thing I would say is from the academic side, RPI is a uniquely interdisciplinary university. And so students here, especially in our master's programs, most of our students come in with non-business degrees, or over half of our students can come in with non-business undergraduate degrees. So you're interacting even within your classes with students with different perspectives and different training. But then even we have, students are taking cross-listed classes, which means that these are classes that are listed in both, let's say, the information technology and computer science, or business and economics. And so through those things in the capstone projects, you get exposed to people with very different thinking, different ways of looking at problems. And really what that does is it teaches you to learn how to learn. And that is, again, just a huge benefit of coming to a school like RPI, where it's not just a typical business school where everyone did an undergrad in marketing and then they're doing an MBA. It's a very different place. And when you get out into the industry, these things are very important. So myself, I started out in biomedical engineering, ended up in finance. So even the faculty here have that interdisciplinary sort of training. And I think that's another key benefit, which really is distinctive at RPI relative to other business schools. Gaurav, hopefully you've got another one.
Perfect. So, they have covered everything. And Brian has covered the most important point, that we are brilliant. The faculty members are great. Come to the school because of us. So that is true. I mean, the faculty members are really very diverse, and the student to faculty ratio is really very low over here. So that makes a big difference. So the fourth one I would pick is the location. The location is amazing. We are in a very, very calm area of New York. It is not New York City, but we are only a train ride away from New York City. We are very close to Boston, and many students get a lot of benefit by attending, if there's a networking event in New York City. You can go in the morning, attend the event, come back in the evening. Yep. So the location plays a big role when it comes to a business school anywhere in the world. And on that point, we can leverage two very big centers in New York and Boston, being in this nice area of New York capital region.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you, Gaurav. Some really, really great answers there, and definitely convincing points for our audience. So thank you for that. So overall, we've had such a fantastic session today. As we close, I want to thank you all again for your thoughtful questions and also participation. I can clearly see that our audience was eager to get this information, so they're able to share it and also help prospective students that may be interested in studying at RPI. A special thank you to our speakers, Brian, Gaurav, Jackie, and Johan. Thank you very much for your time, your insights, and also your expertise. As a reminder, today's webinar has been recorded and you'll receive a link to this shortly. Also, we'll be answering any particular questions that may not have been answered in the Q&A section, which we'll be sending out also shortly. Feel free to share this particular recording with anyone who may be interested in learning more about the Lally School of Management at RPI. We'll also be holding regional follow-up sessions with your local representatives, so you'll be able to stay up to date with the latest developments at the school, including further training opportunities. And if you haven't already done so, please head to the Gus Gateway, so that's gusgateway.com, to apply to become a recruitment partner with us. Therefore, we'll take you through the necessary steps. So I want to thank you again for being here, and we hope to connect with you very, very soon. Until next time, thank you very much. Take care and goodbye for now. Thank you all.
Take care. Bye-bye.